Is there an endgame for Tony Khan and the Elites after Wednesday's AEW Dynamite and the shocking angle that we saw to close the show? AEW's all over the place. CBS Sports, Barstool Sports, ESPN, the Pat McAfee Show, you name it. Everybody is talking about Tony Khan coming out of Wednesday because Tony Khan is in the Jacksonville Jaguars war room wearing the neck brace. Is this a genius move by Tony Khan? Is there longevity to this? Is it going to add any interest to AEW television? Or will it all fall flat on its face? We will talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The ugly being Swerve Strickland and the way he was treated and the plans for him coming out of Dynamite. We got all that right here on Off the Script. Also, WWE may be ending the PG era as we know it, moving NXT to CW and Raw to Netflix. We may see a little bit more of an adult-themed WWE. And Cameron Grimes, he went on Busted Open Radio yesterday and said that he had a job secure no matter what, only to be lied to and then fired a week later. We got all that and what he said on Busted Open right here on Off the Script. But we will start with Tony Khan. Wednesday's Dynamite. I had a rant on Wednesday's show that I very much am planting my flag in, and my cap is going to be hanging from the flag. My Braves cap is going to be hanging from the flag. I don't take anything back, not a single solitary thing did I say in that rant on Wednesday am I taking back. I meant every single word. Because every single word that I said in that rant lines up with my beliefs, my passion, and everything else that I've uttered. Even when WWE did them, it lines up and does not paint me in a hypocritical way whatsoever. Because whatever WWE did and the mistakes that they made, I see the same things happening in AEW, and I'm calling them out just like I did WWE when Vince did them. And when Triple H makes his mistakes, I call him out on his terrible creative as well. Tony Khan ended the show on Wednesday. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Some people are going to think differently, and that's completely understandable, and that's completely fine. I could have seen this angle that ended the show. I could have seen this go on in the middle of the show. I could have seen this be the dark cloud that hung over Dynamite. It could have absolutely opened the show if they wanted it to. I had a problem with Tony Khan booking himself in the main event segment of the show, and it was only exacerbated because Swerve Strickland was the third most important thing on the show. If you want to add the IWGP Championship, the fourth most important thing on the show, which I'll cycle back to in a minute. AEW's show from top to bottom was a complete fucking mess. The order and the structure of the show is a complete fucking mess. You don't need to be in the business. You don't need to be working for AEW or any wrestling company at all to figure that out. The angle, I had no problem with the angle. No problem with the angle. I've been crying for fucking story in AEW. There's the story. I'm interested to see where it goes. Jack Perry's not the reason why I'm interested in the angle. Now Tony Khan and what he's going to do and what he's going to say is the reason why I'm interested. How is AEW going to look? How is the shape of AEW going to look after Tony Khan was attacked by active roster members of that roster? Jack Perry has nothing to do with that. I don't give a fuck about Jack Perry. I don't give a fuck about Jack Perry's inclusion. In fact, Jack Perry being brought back to television and what we saw only adds to my reasoning that the Punk footage that was shown 2 weeks ago should have never been aired. It didn't need to be aired. We were bullshitted. They only aired it because Ariel Helwani and CM Punk made AEW look fucking foolish. And Tony Khan wanted to get back at Ariel Helwani and CM Punk. If Ariel Helwani did not interview CM Punk that week, we would have never seen the footage. We would have never seen the footage at all. It added nothing to the match with FTR at Dynasty. It had no interest to anything. And AEW had a more effective segment telling us where Jack Perry had went when they showed highlights of him showing up 4 months ago in New Japan Pro Wrestling while he jumped the barricade in a mask and showed up when nobody knew he was going to be there. Tell me when I'm telling lies. They didn't need to show the footage. The footage didn't really do anything. Only the fucking AEW neckbeards and the virgins who watch AEW specifically, they think that the footage was needed. The footage was not needed. Tony Khan, he's asked to come out. Jack Perry wants to shake his hand, change the world forever. You knew something was going to happen. Jack Perry parading around, holding Tony Khan's hand up in the air, punches him in the gut with a microphone. Tony Khan falls down. He then realizes maybe 2 seconds later that, oh, maybe I should sell the effects of a stomach punch instead of laying flat on my back. It looked sloppy. It looked comedic. I get where people were coming from. And then they pick him up. The elite's out there. Whoa, Jack, what are you doing? They pick him up. I thought Okada was going to give him a Rainmaker. Thank Christ he didn't, because he didn't sell the body shot from Jack Perry all that good. Imagine him selling a Rainmaker. Then it looks like they were setting him up for the EVP trigger. And then they picked him up on their shoulders, and the Young Bucks gave him the Meltzer driver, which is now renamed the Tony Khan driver. So he got hit with his own finishing move. Dynamite went off the air with a lot of questions. Where are they going? What's the plan? What are the Young Bucks up to? Is this their NWO moment? Is this Eric Bischoff joining the NWO scenario? Is this Tony Khan joining the Elite? I don't know where it goes. But I will say this. We asked the story, me specifically, I asked the story, I'm interested. I'm going to give it time. And I said it on Wednesday. It would be unfair of me to write it off. And I'm not going to. I want to see where they go with this, because the potential is there. The opportunity for change is there. Is this going to write Tony Khan off of television? Is this leading to a possible split between the brands? Maybe Tony Khan fears for his life and he's going to go specifically run AEW Collision while he leaves the Bucks in charge of Dynamite. Maybe that's the reason. One could dream. Tony Khan taking a lesser role creatively, not backstage. I think I'd like to see what could happen if somebody else is running creative. There's a lot that could potentially happen here. But I do have questions, because that's what I do. I'm an analytical guy. They're going to have to give us a real solid reason as to why they attacked Tony Khan. Because out of everybody in that company, the Young Bucks, Jack Perry, should be bowing down to Tony Khan, kissing his feet for what Tony Khan has done for them, the lengths that Tony Khan has gone to. So on the surface level, I have a lot more questions than I do anything. Why did they attack him? You would think, common sense-wise, it doesn't make any sense. It looks like Tony Khan was always in favor of the Young Bucks. He sided with the Young Bucks. He realized and understood that this is their company. They are the heart and soul of this company. And Tony Khan got rid of the cancer that was CM Punk. He fired CM Punk. He willingly shook Jack Perry's hand and gave him, ultimately, his job back. He brought the Young Bucks back to television. He awarded them a match with FTR, or in a tournament anyway, where they won the rights to wrestle FTR for the Tag Team Championships. They are the Tag Team Champions. He allowed them on television to fire Kenny Omega and suspend Adam Page and then bring in Kazuchika Okada, who Tony Khan signed to a multi-million-dollar deal. So I'm failing to understand why they would be upset with Tony Khan there. Hopefully they have an answer to that very important question and give us a really good reason. But I'm interested to see where they go. So everybody's like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm interested. Tony Khan now is shown wearing the neck brace at the NFL draft. He's wearing the neck brace, selling the effects of it. Goofy, yeah. This guy's in a neck brace and he's moving his neck around. I mean, sell the effects of it. I get it. Pat McAfee and his team were making fun of it. It was all over the place. Great. AEW's got all the coverage they wanted coming out of it. It looks like it's a thumbs-up job for Tony Khan. No matter how cheesy it is, I even went on social media and said, listen, man, I respect the fucking kayfabe aspect of this. I'm glad that he's selling the effects and he's going along with it. You know he wanted to do this. You know he's always wanted. Tony Khan is right now a 30-year-old man. He's acting like he's 5 years old. He's enjoying his life. Great. I'm interested to see where the rest of this goes, and I'm interested to see the explanation that we get out of it. But is it going to manufacture into long-term viewership? That's my question. Barstool Sports, CBS, ESPN, Pat McAfee show, for better or worse, were making fun of him. Mentioning AEW by name, mentioning the Bucks by name, mentioning the move that he took by name, the Tony Khan driver. One of his guys was making fun of the fact that he wasn't even selling the effects of wearing the neck brace correctly. Whatever the case may be, is it going to equal long-term viewership? Right now, everybody's over the moon. Oh, Tony Khan's a genius. Oh, Tony Khan did this right. It's a thumbs-up move. It's a great move. But is this going to translate into next week's Dynamite and beyond? That is where the answer lies. That is where everybody who thinks this is a great move will get their justification. Right now, I'm not in that camp. Right now, I'm just waiting in the shadows to see how this all transpires and plays out. But I thought it was a smart move by Tony Khan to do what he did. They took a chance, and it seemingly looks like it's gaining some traction. Great. Now we'll see if that traction leads into anything of an uptick in interest and an uptick in viewership. Tony Khan has also expressed that he would never want to play a character on TV. And I pray to God that we don't get Tony Khan as a character on TV, because he looked like the most uncomfortable, out-of-place character that I've ever seen anywhere on television. So I hope that this one deal that we saw on Wednesday is just that, a one-time deal. I don't want to see Tony Khan in any aspect on television via a microphone. I don't want to see him take bumps. I don't want to see him get physical. I don't want to see him do anything. He's not a good actor. Now, I do think that this is leading to a War Games situation or a blood and guts situation. I did mention this on Wednesday. I did say that it certainly looks like with the announcement of Kenny Omega coming back on Dynamite Wednesday, that we could potentially see the next phase of this storyline. They announced Kenny Omega. I don't think Kenny Omega is back, but I did say, well, AEW is really not the type of company to lay their cards on the table. They like to live in secrecy. They like to dance around all the questions that they have thrown their way. They never give a straight answer. Kenny Omega may or may not be ready to come back to the ring. He may or may not need diverticulitis surgery. We have no fucking idea. Kenny Omega's not going to tell you that. Tony Khan is certainly not going to tell you that. And AEW is not going to tell you anything. For all we know, Kenny Omega's ready to come back to television. And then we'll pick up the storyline like that. But I do think that this is leading to a blood and guts match. Team Tony versus the Elite for the sake of the company. And like I said just moments ago, I really think, fantasy-wise, I hope so, Tony Khan takes a step back. He runs one show. The Bucks run the other show. He fears for his life, which is also another aspect of it. This guy feared for his life at All In, yet is he going to fear for his life here? Is he going to fire them now? It's another question, man. They put their hands on the boss. All these guys should be fired. The Bucks should be fired, realistically. Jack Perry should be fired. Now, I know I'm overstepping the boundaries. Oh, just enjoy it, man. But, I mean, you got to ask the questions, man. You got to ask the questions. I do think that this is leading to a blood and guts match. Whoever the Elite's going to have on their team against whoever is going to stand behind Tony Khan, which I'm assuming would be Kenny Omega, Adam Page, FTR, or somebody else of the sorts to come back, Team Tony. That's where I do think it's going. But I think the interest could be there. The longevity could be there. I don't trust Tony Khan and the way he books television to go any more than that. I don't. The show on Wednesday was a complete mess from top to bottom. The priorities were out of order. Everything on the show was completely out of order, whether you like it or not. Oh, but JD, they announced Swerve Strickland for Collision with a big lead-in from the NBA. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. Why wasn't that announced on Wednesday? Did that just seemingly zip by their heads? Was that not a thought anybody said to announce the fucking thing on Wednesday leading into Saturday? For all we know, geeks, all the backlash to why Swerve Strickland was treated like an afterthought hit them in the face on Wednesday, and then first thing Thursday morning, oh yeah, we got Swerve showing up on Saturday after the Miami Heat game and Collision. The first thing you see at 8:30 p.m. Eastern will be Swerve Strickland addressing everybody after he won the World Championship on Sunday from Samoa Joe at Dynasty. Well, why didn't we see Swerve on Wednesday? Why didn't we see a promo from Swerve on Wednesday? Why didn't we get some of what he was thinking on Wednesday? Did we need a match with Kyle Fletcher? Nobody gives a shit about Kyle Fletcher. What the fuck does Kyle Fletcher have to do with a world championship? Why are we having number one contender matches, eliminator matches, where some bum wrestles the champion? Why did Swerve need to go out and have a competitive match with somebody after he just outlasted the beast, Samoa Joe? None of it made sense to me. The first thing that we should have seen on Wednesday was Swerve Strickland with a microphone in his hand, because the AEW champion is the biggest priority in the company. That show is now his. He's the ace. He's the face. He's the champion who made history as the first black champion in AEW history. You don't put that third from the top. You don't put the elite coming out of an Uber first. You don't showcase Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends second. Swerve is not third as the world champion. I'm sorry. And I don't want to reference them because I hate the tribalism, but I'm going to use both of these guys as an example. Would you ever see WWE take Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes coming out of a WrestleMania main event, whether they win the championship or not? Would they take Cody Rhodes in that instance and put him on Monday Night Raw and put him in a competitive match after he outlasted the entire bloodline to have a competitive match against a fucking bum that doesn't need to be in the ring with him, that doesn't deserve to be in the ring with him? The answer is no. Would WWE ever neglect Cody Rhodes after winning the championship and making history? Ever neglect Cody Rhodes from coming out to the ring and cutting a promo in front of the audience expressing how this felt to him? No. Would they do that same thing to Roman Reigns? No. No, they would not. So why are we getting that treatment for Swerve Strickland? I don't get it. Now, Swerve is not Cody Rhodes and Swerve is not Roman Reigns, but he's the AEW World Champion. He is the guy now. The championships already in AEW don't mean anything. They don't. The international title don't mean anything. Continental title don't mean shit. Tag team titles haven't meant shit in a long time. Their titles don't mean anything. The trios championships don't mean anything. The TBS title don't mean anything. None of their titles mean anything. None of their titles have any identity. Every title seemingly is nothing more than a prop for someone to parade around with to make them feel special. None of their titles feel special. And AEW made Swerve Strickland and the World Championship not feel special. The world champion should be treated with the utmost respect 100% of the time. Not 25, not 50, not 75. 100% of the time. Or if you didn't want to have him on the show Wednesday, you should have had him at least cut something backstage and let everybody know he's going to be on Saturday's show and he's going to address everybody live at the top of the hour on Collision. We didn't get none of that. Nothing about Swerve being on Collision. No graphic within the fucking show that he was going to be on Saturday night. We heard about it on social media, which means to me that they didn't have a fucking clue or a plan for Swerve Strickland going into Wednesday. And the reason why they did what they did on Thursday by announcing it on social media is because of all the backlash that it got, because of their fucking mistake, and they tried to twist it and spin the narrative as if they had this planned all along. Bullshit. Bullshit. WWE would have never done this with their champions. AEW, they want to make a mistake, and then they want to try and correct it, and then spawn it off as, oh yeah, it's the plan. Okay. So you're going to get a lead-in for Swerve Strickland going into Collision from the NBA playoffs. That's great. Million plus will probably be watching that. How many of those people are not going to watch the show and instead going to switch over to the other fucking game that's happening at that same time? Or the NHL playoffs that are happening at that same time? Or maybe switch to ESPN and watch the fucking draft conclude this weekend? How many of those people are going to know Swerve Strickland? But I always go back to the question of why didn't you let us know he was going to be on Saturday's show? You didn't. Which in turn gives me every piece of ammunition I need to tell you that you're a bunch of bullshit artists and you didn't have a fucking thing planned. Priorities. The company has a problem with priorities. The champion won the fucking main event on Sunday night. The first thing that you should have seen was Swerve Strickland's face and a microphone in his hand. If he didn't want to get all in depth, then he shouldn't have gone in depth and told us, I'm going to be on Saturday's show, watch Collision, we'll have a celebration then. Went right over their heads and they just completely opted to make him feel irrelevant. The IWGP Championship was on the line in the main event, the last match of the show, which only exacerbated the problems that Swerve Strickland was treated like an afterthought. A championship that is not even theirs is getting spotlighted treatment, and Swerve Strickland's was not, because he didn't even come out first. Do you see the problem? You guys got to open your eyes, honestly. I don't sit here and hate for the sake of hating. I'm not Cornette. I'm not Bischoff. You guys got to understand that everything that you're hearing now, the tone, the attack on the bad creative, I did this with WWE, and everybody called me a hater for it. And all through the hate, and all through the bad tweets, and all through the negativity that I got thrown my way because people thought I was hating, every single time I was proven to be correct. I am not wrong in this case, and I have feet to stand on here because the gripes are real. The priorities in the company are all fucked up. They need to do what's right. Their championships don't mean shit. Swerve is going to fall in line, and he's going to feel like everybody else. It's already starting to feel that way. You got people already murmuring that, oh, he's nothing more than a transitional champion. Ha-ha. He's only keeping that belt warm for Will Ospreay when he wins it in London. Ha-ha. Do you really want that already? If I'm Swerve, I'm pissed. If I'm Swerve, I got my fucking team on the phone with Tony. Bro, what the fuck are we doing? We made history. This is the guy, and he's fifth priority on the fucking show? You cannot believe that the Collision announcement wasn't due to the backlash that they got on social media. I'm not being negative. I'm calling out mistakes. Don't take my negativity for hate. My negativity is because they are doing wrong. I have to call out what they're doing wrong in hopes that they fix it. I want them to fix it because I care. I care. Whether you like me or what I do or not, it needs to be fixed. That show, top to bottom, was complete garbage. And the structure of the show was complete garbage. I have no problem with the fucking ending angle. We'll let the angle there play out. I'm interested to see where they go. The longevity there, I'm waiting to see. I want to see an uptick in the ratings. AEW's got this 700 to 825 realm that they're living in weekly. If this is a big angle and people are interested in this, they should have a huge uptick. We should be over 825, closer to 850, 875 come Wednesday. And Swerve, Collision, I'm sorry, bro. Doesn't work for me. I'm going to say this once, I'm going to say it again for all the people in the fucking back that think that I hate. I don't give a shit what happens on Collision or Rampage. Those are the B and C shows. Everything that happens within this company goes through Dynamite. There should be an announcement on Dynamite. There should be something said by someone on Dynamite. Dynamite, Wednesday, is your biggest wrestling audience. I don't want to see something announced on social media. I want to see it spoken of into existence on Wednesday, with then it transferring to Saturday. Fuck Rampage. Nobody gives a shit about Rampage. The B and C shows. You are never going to get me to tell you that, oh, Collision, it's going to happen on Collision. Yeah, the show that gets 400,000 viewers every fucking Saturday, right? If it doesn't happen on Dynamite, I'm going to take it as the company doesn't give a fuck. Simple. It's got to go through Wednesday. Every single thing that you deem important should be showcased on Dynamite and then shown on Saturday. Don't not mention it on Wednesday and then show it on Saturday as if it's some big fucking deal. No. Swerve Strickland should have been all over the show Wednesday and then lead into Saturday. He was not. Nothing was mentioned, and now we're supposed to care about Saturday because they had a plan for a big lead-in because of the NBA playoff game with the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. Sure thing. Sure thing. How many of those people are going to remain on watching Collision? How many of those people know who the fuck Swerve Strickland is? How many of those people know who Swerve is? Is it a great idea in theory? Sure. Great. Yeah, we're going to give him more eyeballs than ever before. It's much better than the lead-in for Big Bang Theory. It's a great deal. Great job there. But is it going to be sustainable? I don't give a shit. The show's going to generate 400,000 viewers on a Saturday, so what's the end goal there? What is the end goal? Oh, Swerve's going to be seen by more than 1 million people. Her. Yeah, I'm sure. Great. Great deal. How is that going to benefit him in the long run? You've already treated him and started his fucking reign off as 5th from the top. Do better. That's what I got to say on that. I do genuinely think that this angle could potentially be something that AEW needs. I've been saying it. They need something like the Bloodline. This could be it. I'm going to let it play out. And I'm going to see how it plays out and what the explanation is next week, what Kenny's inclusion is going to be, and what that leads to, and what the Young Bucks have to say. It's only fair of me to give it a chance because they took a chance. Tony Khan put himself in the position to take that chance, and we're going to see it play out. And if it doesn't result in anything, then you'll hear from me. But we'll let Wednesday come, and we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Moving on with the rest of the news here. We have news on WWE ending the PG era of WWE. Now, Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame promo reportedly was the most glaring example of what the talent will be able to say. The Rock has come in. He came back in January and started using more adult language. It led to others also being able to have more freedom with their language, including Cody Rhodes. Dave Meltzer said, it was said to us at The Observer that The Rock's speech was the most glaring example of what talent was able to say. He goes on to say, it was said to us that The Rock's interviews and Heyman's promo at the Hall of Fame are considered the official end of the PG era. This isn't to say that the TV shows will be changing. That is something being talked about, but no decision has been made. Meltzer speculated that a decision would be made when Raw goes to Netflix and NXT to the CW based on what those partners want. Meltzer then adds, the attempts to keep things PG in the big picture, which had been a big thing to the point of the memo being sent out about this several weeks back, such as in social media or non-televised shows, is now no longer the case. End quote. We're not going to see WWE on Fox break the PG era. We have some time for that because that relationship is not over until October. Monday Night Raw, we're not really going to see any of that. We're more apt to see something along the lines of subtle changes on Raw because it's cable television compared to network television. But we're not going to really see any real change until SmackDown moves to USA Network, NXT moves to CW, and Netflix gets Monday Night Raw. That's where all of this, that's where everything that you want WWE to be, that's where it's going to be, Netflix. That's going to be the defining change in WWE. That's going to be the show that's going to lean towards more adult-like presentation and more adult-like language. You're probably not going to see that on CW, and you're probably not going to see that on SmackDown and USA Network, but at least we're getting it from the A show when Raw goes to Netflix. I'm all okay with that because that's where all the big guns are going to be. That's where all the biggest things are going to happen on Monday. So I'm looking forward to that, but you know, the PG era may be on its way to coming to an end, but it's not going to end. We're not going to see it tonight on SmackDown. We're not going to see it going into Raw on Monday for the draft. Nothing's going to happen immediately. It's all going to happen when that deal with Netflix comes into effect. And finally, guys, Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes was fired by WWE, and he was the biggest name, in my eyes, that was let go. The more surprising name, I should say, that was let go. He was on Busted Open, and he was explaining that he was told last week that he didn't need to worry about losing his job. He was fired the following week. Now, literally, the last time I was at TV, says Cameron Grimes, I had a pretty high executive tell me, no name was given. Could have been Triple H. It could have been Bruce Pritchard. Could have been somebody that works closely with Bruce Pritchard and Triple H. Michael Hayes. Because, I was worried. Starting this stock market gimmick, it made me see business in a different light. You know what I mean? Following these companies and playing with stocks, I would see things in a different light. So I knew that I haven't worked in over a year and I'm making a decent salary. So I knew that if someone was to look at the books, I'm going to be the first person that was going to be cut. If you're strictly looking at it money-wise, that's the way I felt. But if you're looking at it like, okay, well, if this is a talent that can do something for us, you know what I mean? They're going to keep me on the roster. So I was told by a high executive last week on Friday that I would always have a job here. I would never have to worry about losing my job here after expressing my concerns like that to him. And then 5 days later, they called me and told me that I no longer have a job. So I don't know. So he joked with the locker room. He expressed that he joked with the locker room that he was the next person to be gone. He just had an inkling that it was going to be him. With the WWE draft coming up, he had joked that this would be him drafted to Thursdays when TNA Impact comes onto television. That may be the case now. Who knows? Though being released sucks, it's something that Trevor Lee, Cameron Grimes, says he kind of knew was coming. He knew the only way he would get a chance in WWE is by getting released and then proving himself elsewhere. Lee loved working for WWE, and it was the only thing that he ever wanted to do. I was just always told that they just didn't really have an idea for me. I pitched a bunch of different ideas. I pitched a bunch of different character ideas because I had a feeling that the money thing was just not going to work up there. They already had kind of tried it with Baron Corbin before I got called up. He was with JBL. I feel like that was very much because of the success that I had with the character of Cameron Grimes in NXT. I think that's why they kind of went with that storyline. It's a very interesting way to put it. So over the past few months, I've been trying to get writers and stuff and saying like, hey, I just want to work. At the end of the day, I just wanted to work. I just want to work. And I would hear, that would make me sound kind of bitter, that Cameron Grimes was bitter. I don't understand that process. I don't understand how I came off being kind of bitter. I guess every week when you're asking to work, I guess it starts to annoy people. I guess I could see that. Then he talked about people that reached out to him once he was released. He mentioned Logan Paul. This is going to sound weird because the level of star that he is, Logan Paul actually reached out to me, and I thought that was pretty cool because you know what I mean? He's a megastar. And even beyond past wrestling, he reached out to me and said some stuff to me, so that helps me feel good. He did mention as well that he wants to wrestle in Japan, and that's something that he'd really love to do. Impact and PWG are among the promotions he wrestled for before signing with WWE in 2019. That's pretty shitty. To have a high-level executive, and to be fair, that high-level executive probably wasn't privy to what was going on. I'm assuming these cuts came from Triple H. I'm assuming that he made the cuts directly responsible for the budget that they have because they have a bunch of free agents coming up. Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, Drew McIntyre, I believe Kevin Owens as well, the Street Profits. So there are a bunch of big names. They're going to be having WWE contracts come up soon. They just signed Finn Balor. They just signed Bayley. They signed Charlotte Flair earlier this year. So WWE is trying to keep their numbers in order, and they're looking to cut dead weight. And especially with NXT now in the draft, they're going to be replacing these people with people from NXT that they have a little bit more upside in, that they see a little bit more upside in. Now, that doesn't mean it's right to what they did with Cameron Grimes. He was told that he had a job for life. Why say that to somebody when the uncertainty of the business and the nature of the business that they work in is so hot and cold? Why would you make a promise to someone like that? I don't really understand that, especially if you have nothing to do with whether they stay or go. It's not up to that person. It's up to Triple H and Endeavor. I don't really get it. But they bullshitted him. They lied to him. That's fucked up. They made this guy feel a false sense of security, and then they got rid of him. Cameron Grimes is a talented guy. He's 30 years old. He's not even in his prime yet. Cameron Grimes, the best thing that I could tell Cameron Grimes is go out there on the indies like Ali, like Mustafa Ali, like Matt Cardona, and Nick Nemeth, and go kill it. Go kill it. Show them. Create your own character. This is where your creative freedom now holds no boundaries. You could do whatever you want. You do something that don't work, you try the next thing. Or if something works, you run with it. And you show them how good you are, how much they could use you, that it's their loss that they didn't utilize you better. This now, the indies, as hot as they are, the whole fucking indie scene is his oyster bed. It's his world. He could do whatever he wants. He got a completely blank canvas to do whatever he wants with. He can wrestle anybody he wants with. Show everybody how great of a wrestler he is. So go out there and have a blast. Have fun. Do whatever you want. The best feeling is to go out there and prove to them that they fucked up. That they messed up by not using you. And look at you now. Because that's what Ali is doing. That's what Matt Cardona has done. That's what Nick Nemeth is doing. Matt Riddle doing the same thing. This is a great opportunity for him. And you know what? He's going to kill it. Thank you guys very much for all your support. I hope you enjoyed today's upload. If you did, please sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you think of all the top stories today on Off the Script. I will see you live tonight after Friday Night SmackDown and the first night of the WWE Draft. We got a draft coming up. Going to be a big night. So I can't wait to spend that time with you guys tonight and go over all the moves to shake up the rosters on WWE moving forward for the rest of the year. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications, and please go check out all the other content, including the live streams that we did on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Some great stuff already and some great stuff coming up. Make sure you guys go check all that stuff out on the homepage. I will see you tonight live after Friday Night SmackDown right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.